character, the Ghostman, first encounters Harry Hart Turner, the Wolf, who is the book's primary antagonist. Chapter 23. The drive in the back of the SUV was mercifully short. They took me along the highway out to the salt marsh. I watched my assailants as we drove. The headlights reflected light back into the cabin and mixed with the faint light from the computer screen in the center console, giving everything a strange white glow. The blonde had eyes the color of an old rust stain and arms that looked like they were carved from wood. The other man's eyes were bright blue, his hair red, and he was younger than the blonde by maybe 10 years. He didn't stop staring at me the whole ride. He didn't even blink. Along his knuckles, he had a tattoo that read 14 words. Someone had told me what that meant once. It was something to do with white people and their kids, like, we must secure an existence for white people and a future for white children. The exact wording differed depending upon which prison we grew up in. The guy with the shotgun took out an old prepaid cell phone. I saw him punching in numbers, but I couldn't make out which ones. He held the phone very close to his face and never took his eyes off me. He didn't speak much, and when he did, he spoke softly so I couldn't hear. Even so, I could tell what he was doing. He was informing his employer that they found me. He was asking for orders. "What do you want with me?" I said. "Shut up," Bond said. He had turned off the highway onto an old dirt path that led into the vast empty marsh. We drove along for maybe 10 minutes until we were out in the wilderness. The tires sunk into the loose, sandy ground and the SUV bobbed up and down. The going was painfully slow. We were in the middle of nowhere near the mouth of the Absecon Bay. I could still see the Regency Tower glowing off in the distance, but the highway sounds and the buzz of civilization were fading. All I could hear now was the wind blowing across the marsh. We came to a slow stop. We waited there for a few minutes with the engines running. The darkness surrounding us was unsettling. I listened to the sound of the two men breathing in front of me, closed my eyes, and wondered what would happen next. Were they waiting for orders to kill me? I banished the thought as soon as it came into my head. If they had that in mind, they wouldn't have put me in the back seat. It would involve too much cleanup. No, they would have thrown me in the back of the rig, because that's easy to clean. The blonde would have put a knife through my ribs as soon as I stepped out of the car. Then, when I started to fall, he would have caught me and carried me the rest of the way to the Suburban. He'd have thrown my body in the back, and that would be that. By now I'd be in 4 pieces, separated down the spine and across the stomach, and wrapped up in garbage bags or something like that. If they wanted me dead, they wouldn't have gone to all this trouble. They wouldn't have taken the risk of leaving me alive. Every minute I kept breathing increased the chances that I might turn things around on them. Suddenly headlights flashed through the back window. I turned around, shielding my eyes from the high beams, and took a better look. Another black Suburban was rumbling up across the marsh. It took a good 5 minutes to close the distance, but when it did, it parked across from us on the other side of the trail. The blonde didn't give me a second look. He pressed the button that unlocked my door and said, "Get out." I pulled the door handle and climbed out. The path between the cars was worn and deep with car tracks. In every direction stretched miles of empty marsh, with nothing bigger than a shrub between here and the highway. I watched my reflection grow larger in the tinted windows, then opened the rear door to the second vehicle. The man waiting for me inside had dark features, dark hair, dark skin, dark eyes, eyebrows like caterpillars. He looked like one of those guys you see on the evening news, walking around in a palace in some oil emirate, doing business with the Saudis or buying tanks from the Russians, not dealing crank. His charcoal suit was probably worth 20 grand, but the most striking thing about him were his eyes. Even under the bright glow of the cabin light, he had eyes the color of black ice. countless stories about him over the years. In some, he was a barbarian. In others, he was a sophisticate. But one story in particular stuck with me. It was the story I got from Marcus himself, back when we first met in that Oregon hotel 5 years ago. After he'd made his selections, he leaned over the table where a group of us were sitting and told us all about a man he knew. They'd been childhood friends, Marcus said, classmates from kindergarten on up. They dated the same girls, ate at the same restaurants. When they were still in school, the man he knew started selling cocaine and soon subdued the dealer for his corner and shoved him into an abandoned warehouse. Broad daylight, no mask. He knocked the guy out with a wrench and then duct taped a plastic bag over his head. It wasn't a suffocation move, though. The bag had a few holes in it for air. The kid then waited for the man to come to. When he did, he pressed the nozzle of a can of purple spray paint into one of the holes. He sprayed and sprayed and sprayed until he could hear the metal ball rattle around at the bottom of the empty can. The paint went into the bag and the fumes went into the guy's lungs until he couldn't scream. There's plenty of nasty stuff in the paint. Butane, propane, industrial solvent, heavy metals. He breathed in all of it, right into his bloodstream. The kid tore the plastic bag off and left. The man survived, somehow, but the solvent in the paint had crossed his blood-brain barrier. When he got out of the hospital, he could only sit and drool and take shallow breaths. He'd gone blind and needed dialysis. To the higher-ups in the cartel, it was a simple and brutal message. If the kid wanted to, he could run an entire empire with a can of royal purple spray paint. And for the next 40 years, he did. He was born with the name Harry Hard Turner, but nobody ever called him that. He had another name, one that only a few drug dealers dared to say aloud. A name that, once heard, nobody ever forgot. The Wolf. Chapter 24. I was wondering when we'd meet, the wolf said as I slid into the backseat next to him. Even out here in the summer heat, the leather was cold as winter. The air conditioning must have been sent to Arctic. The wolf wasn't armed because he didn't need to be. The skinheads with the shotgun were parked right next to us, and there wasn't anywhere to run. His driver probably had a gun too. I looked at the wolf, and I didn't have anything to say. You're not exactly what I expected, the wolf said. From what I was told, I thought you were a much younger man. I don't know what you were expecting, I said. I am who I am. The wolf nodded meaningfully. Indeed. And you also know who I am, yes? I do, I said. Your name's Harry Turner. There was an abrupt silence. He wasn't expecting this answer either. Who told you that? He said. People, I said. Marcus. Just people. Your people are right. That is one of my names. But I've never been a fan of Harry. It's a corruption of my real name, Harry Hard. Do you know what Harry Hard means? No idea. It's an Indian name. It's one of the names of Krishna, an avatar of Vishnu. According to some sects, it's the supreme god of the Hindu religion. Vishnu is the preserver, the all-knowing and all-powerful protector of the universe. Harry doesn't quite capture the full meaning, would you say? I guess, I said. But maybe you know me by yet another name, something a little bit more memorable. They call you the Wolf. Good. The wolf shifted forward in his seat. Then at least you understand who I am. How did you find me? I said. Come now, I can't tell you that. You might try to stop me. Suffice it to say, I can follow you anywhere. I sniffed. You're Marcus's Ghostman, are you not? I can tell. I can see it on your hands. The pad of your fingers are as smooth as the skin on your nose. I don't work for Marcus, I said. He smiled. I'm sure you don't. You're a free agent. watch a lot of news?" the wolf asked. "In my home there is always the television on. My wife gives me no end of grief about it. In every room I step in, I turn it on, and sometimes I forget to turn it off. It's almost an unconscious habit. I eat my breakfast and I watch the news. I go to work and I watch the news. I talk on the phone and I watch the news. I hardly notice it anymore, but she does. We are talking and I am listening to her, but I am also listening to the news. She gets upset. But I have to watch, understand? You never know what they're going to say next. This hour, it might be a story about a girl who's missing somewhere, and I can tune it out of my mind like it was never mentioned in the first place. The next hour, it will be something else. It could be a story that could change the whole course of my day, or maybe even the course of my life. You see, I was on the news once. They didn't show my face or say my name, but a local affiliate was doing a story that involved one of my businesses. A little girl had wandered off from her parents and gone missing for a few days. They found her, after a while, passed out in an empty lot next to one of my mechanic shops. She didn't look hurt at first, but when they checked her out, they saw something was wrong. Her eyesight had gone blurry. They did blood tests and found she had been exposed to a lot of phosphine gas. It was a mystery, because there was no aluminum phosphide pellets, rat poison, anywhere around where they found her. Just the odor of rotting fish. The news people were baffled. What they didn't know, though, was the mechanic shop had a meth lab in the basement. The fumes had been ventilated out through a pipe in the empty lot the night before. The little girl had been playing there and accidentally breathed in a huge lungful, enough to cause her to pass out. The cooks hadn't noticed what had happened, so they finished the batch. The fumes dissipated and the little girl was still lying there, not 15 feet in the ventilation duct. If the news people had found out about the vent, it would have set my operation back $250,000. So as soon as I heard about it, I got in my car and drove to the abandoned lot. From there, I circled through the neighborhood and drove and drove and drove until I found the little girl's brownstone. Then I parked down the street, walked back to the brownstone and climbed in through the window. I went to the parents' room and did them both with a stun gun so they wouldn't wake up. Then I went to the little girl's room and told her not to scream. She cried and cried, but then she listened to me and didn't make a sound. She was so scared that she could hardly move. She could only take heaving breaths and cry silent tears. I carried her down to the kitchen in my arms and set her down on the counter next to the sink. I poured a glass of milk and gave it to her. She drank it. The next glass had a drain cleaner in it. With milk, it has the right temperature and texture. She drank half of it before she had to stop. It gave her blisters on her tongue, so I held her little nose and forced the rest of it down her throat. After that, it took another 20 minutes for her to die, choking and vomiting blood as the drain cleaner dissolved away her insides. She stopped crying after a while. She just sat there and looked up at me with those big, soft, brown eyes, taking shallow breaths. She slumped over in a bit and didn't wake up. Her face covered in blood, her eyes bleeding, her brain dissolving. I left her body right there next to the open chemical cabinet. After that, the news people didn't say another word about the mechanic shop. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm the one who had Marino killed, the wolf said. And if you don't bring me the money from this morning's